Hi everyone, in today's video we're checking out 5 things you must have as a videographer. That's right, in today's video we're checking out 5 things you absolutely must have in your camera bag if you're a videographer, and I try to pick out things that you could purchase in a specific category. So let's say you buy this, depending on your budget, you get the really high-end one or you get a cheaper one, but you must have one version at least of these 5 items because these are absolutely crucial to have, especially if you're trying to do filmmaking or videography or even commercial videography or just YouTube videos like this. Anything that enhances your video, that's what we'll be looking at today. And the first thing that I must mention, a good lens. Camera bodies are obsolete after a couple of years. I mean, this camera body I just picked up, but at the end of the day, I know that the quality will be at a certain point, obsolete. I mean, this does 4K, great, but we already have an 8K camera out, and I'm sure that soon enough, things will start shifting in that direction. So I'm sure I'll keep that body for a while, but the lens that I'm shooting it on, that I can keep it for even longer because it's super sharp, it's beautiful quality, it's glass that's well crafted, and in that essence I have to urge you to pick up a really good lens, even if it's a cheap lens. And this one is one of my favorite cheap lenses. It's called the Nifty 50. It's a 50mm lens f1.8, and so what it allows you to do is have that super shallow depth of field, that nice cinematic look, that super sharp look as well. So if you put it at f4, it's really sharp. And this particular one is from Canon. It has autofocus, STM, so it's super silent when you autofocus. And so for any filmmaker that's starting out, this is probably one of your best lenses to pick up. It's actually in my photographer's 5 under 50 list because I think that this is a lens all around that you absolutely must have in your kit. I think everybody start with this lens, especially considering you can pick one of these up for around 50 bucks on eBay used. So why would you not have one of them, especially if it allows you to get that creative goodness. Another thing that actually... you know what? I probably should have put it right before the lenses because that's probably when it's going to make the biggest difference in your video, and that's your audio. I know it sounds ridiculous, but if you have better audio, it's better perceived video production quality. So your production value actually goes up if your audio is better quality. It sounds strange to say because it's not something that you can see, but it actually makes a huge difference. So for example, you see a movie with really bad audio quality, but really good visuals. It'll feel like, well, they botched the audio, versus if you see a movie with really good audio, but it has, pixelated or, weird image quality, and it's not really the highest resolution, you'll say, oh, it's kind of the style they're going for, it's the look. But nobody's going to say that about the audio. The audio has to be perfect because that's what really brings you into the story. And so having a really expensive microphone is one thing, but knowing how to use it is another thing. And just having, first of all, a microphone is already a huge step. And so you could pick up one of these video microphones for a couple $100. Actually, this one you probably pick up for under $100. And this is the Rode Video mic. It's the original version. It's not the best mic. It does a great job. It's better than your onboard mic, that's for sure. And what that does is allows you to just capture better quality audio. Now, just right over your camera and just pointing camera or whatever will not give you the best audio. What you should do is you should get this as close as possible to your subject. So having it just right here out of frame is the best thing you can do. Actually, that's what I did. And so I'm using a much more expensive microphone. I'm using the NTG4 Plus to record this, and that's hooked up to a recorder because you can't just plug this into the camera. And that recorder is the H4n Pro. And they're great little pieces of gear. They're expensive though. So if you're starting out, this is not what you should go for. You should go at one of these, or even the Rode Video Micro. It's like, I think, under 60 bucks. That little microphone will probably give you better production value than any lens you can purchase or any camera body you can purchase, especially if you get it really close to your subject and you really pick up that crisp audio. That'll make more of a difference in your film than a good camera. Now, another thing that's crucial to have, and a lot of people actually overlook this, is, well, a good tripod and a good video head. And a video head, I mean, this is a super cheap one, but even the cheaper ones do great things. I mean, this allows you to basically pan, tilt, and it keeps your axis super stable on your horizontal side, so it's not going to tilt on one side or the other like photo heads. So this is really good to have if you're filming video. The more money you spend on these, usually the better and smoother they get. Even a cheap one like this, about $100, it gives you a really smooth video quality, and it's already better than whatever you're going to get on a photo head, and it allows you to get some movements that you couldn't get without it. Obviously, with this, you're gonna have to pick up some tripod legs or another tripod. I use the Manfrotto 290 Extra, and that's just because it's super lightweight, versatile, and I love it. And I can match it with a photo head, and that just allows me to have a great setup for my use. But again, depending on what you do, you might want to change that. So one of these is definitely something you should think about picking up if you're starting out in videography. So this next thing actually has been in all of my top 5 items lists ever so far, and that's photography or videography combined, and it's been in the top 5 under 50, just because you have no reason, you have no excuse not to have this in your camera bag. Is a reflector. Once again, the reflector. The reflector is the best thing you can pick up. 5-in-1, this particular one, and that's white side here, and that bounces white light, gold side, and then when you open it up, you have a diffuser here, and that's almost transparent. That allows you to just diffuse the light, whatever you push through it. You have a black side to block light, and you have a silver side to reflect light. And the idea with this is you can, stick it right next to your subject here, and since you have one source of light here, it bounces and fills that part of my face. When you take it off, you see it's darker, and all that does is just creates different ways of using light. So if you're stuck with one light, or even just natural sunlight, you get yourself close to a window, add this here, it'll just fill that extra space here. It's just a great all-around thing to have. You want to block out some light, you can do that too. These are just super handy and super cheap. They're like $15 on Amazon. You have no excuse. And once again, if you don't want to dish out that extra $15 or you just don't have time to go pick them up, foam boards are also a great alternative. These white foam boards allow you to put them really close to someone or right next to it and have a nice white fill light, or the black one. And the black one allows you to basically block out light like this. And what's really cool with these foam boards is picking up like 2 of them for $1. They're super cheap at the dollar store, and you can actually just use them and cut them up and throw them away because these are made out of foam. So let's say you want to shape your light like a star or circle, you cut that shape out, put it in front of your light, and you're good to go. And that's going to be your probably cheapest option, and they're easy to find. So definitely pick a couple of those up. You can have a stack of them at home laying around for almost nothing. Now, last but not least is lighting. This will vary tremendously based on what type of work you do. I personally really enjoy LED panels or single spot LEDs with a big softbox. I like that soft diffuse look. And so there are options out there like one of those big softbox, and these ones are super cheap. And you'll see you take this out and there's just one bulb in there, and that bulb gives you a nice light source. It's not the best quality light and it's not the best output, but if you're doing a single interview setup like this, having 1 or 2 around is great. Also for product videography, this is great as well. You do overhead like this and put it on top of your table, and it gets you a nice diffused look. And so for a cheap option, these soft boxes are great, but there's different qualities and outputs of lights out there. And so depending on your budget, you should pick the best one for you. For example, there are LED panels like this, and these ones are great for, smaller situations, smaller spots. This doesn't have the best output as well, but it's a great quality light. This has a super high CRI number, and so the things you should look for into a light is a higher CRI number, especially for video, because that's the quality of the color of the light. So it won't give you a magenta color or whatever. It won't shift your color. So this, you want to get as high as a CRI number. You also want to get a good output, and you want to have a light that doesn't flicker, especially if you do slow-mo filmmaking. So this is a great option for those little lights, LED panels. I'll put all the links in all these things in the description. Once again, the idea for this video is not to tell you exactly to purchase the same setup I have, but just to give you an idea of what you should get before you end up spending a lot of money on a camera body that you don't really need. So lenses, audio, lighting, these are things that you should focus on before you start buying the expensive cameras. I used a Canon T3i for the longest time. Doesn't have autofocus, 1080p max output, but it was still my favorite camera because it has this look about it. And at the same time, it was my first real camera, manual features, decent, this and that. These are what you should look at before you look at the big, Sonys or the big Canon mirrorless. this is what you should pick up. Well, that was it. Thanks for watching. I just wanted to let you know I started a podcast. It's called the Gray Zone Podcast. It's available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast from. And essentially what we do is through journalistic research, we actually shed light on mysterious facets of our everyday world. First of all, does Amazon fake reviews exist? Do people write fake reviews for Amazon?
I don't know.
It was a rhetorical question.
Oh, okay, sorry.
The answer is definitely check it out. The link will be below if you're interested in that kind of stuff. Well, anyway, as always, subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a big old thumbs up. Leave me a comment in the section below. And hey, I'll see you next time. Peace.
But it's all too